Some people are terrified of making a mistake, while others carry on regardless, completely fearless. So, which one are you? Personally speaking, I'm more on the fearless side because I believe that a mistake is only something you make when you know better. Until then, it's a learning experience. A dear friend and teacher once said, if you can't learn from your mistakes, then don't make any. That's pretty good. So let's have a look at what mistakes are and what makes us afraid of making them. So what is a mistake? A mistake is an action or decision that is perceived as wrong, misguided, or incorrect, and tends to result in an undesired outcome or consequence. And mistakes can range from minor errors with minimal impact to significant blunders with far-reaching consequences. The key characteristics of mistakes are that they are usually unintentional, resulting from poor judgment or lack of information. Mistakes also lead to negative outcomes or consequences in two main areas: tangible, such as damage or financial loss, or intangible, such as hurt feelings or loss of trust. Despite their negative impact, mistakes can provide valuable learning experiences. They offer opportunities for growth, reflection, and improvement, and even can help people and organizations avoid similar pitfalls in the future. It's how you respond to and learn from a mistake that ultimately determines your ability to grow and succeed. When teaching my students with their horses, I often find that they are terrified of making a mistake in case it hurts or even offends their horse. First of all, if it's unintentional, the horse will be fine. Secondly, I tell my students that it's impossible to make a mistake because they're a student. A mistake is only something you make when you know better. Until then, they are learning experiences. It really helps to see it this way because it reduces tension and it also gives you time to think. Now let's look at common mistakes people make in relationships, because relationships are such an important and constant part of life, both personal and professional. So here are some of the main mistakes that we make. Number 1, communication breakdown. Poor communication, such as not expressing needs, feelings, or concerns openly and honestly, can lead to misunderstandings, resentment, and distance between partners. It's amazing how much we withhold for fear of causing rifts, when being open is probably going to be a lot healthier and even increase trust. Number 2 is lack of empathy. Failing to empathize with a partner's perspective or emotions can create feelings of invalidation and disconnection. It's essential to listen to and validate each other's feelings, even if you don't agree with them, because this is not necessarily about you, it's about them. Number 3, taking each other for granted. Over time, partners can fall into the trap of taking each other for granted, neglecting to show appreciation or make efforts to nurture the relationship. As you can imagine, or may have experienced yourself, feelings of neglect and dissatisfaction are often triggered. Number 4, avoiding conflict. Avoiding or sweeping conflict under the rug rather than addressing it openly and constructively can lead to unresolved issues and even resentment. Learning to navigate conflict effectively is crucial for maintaining a healthy relationship. Some of this can be related to personality. For example, extroverts tend to wear their heart on their sleeve and are usually not afraid to talk things out, whereas introverts hold their feelings in and find it very hard to talk when things are tough. If you know that you and the other person are opposites, it can help to give them other avenues to communicate that feel safer, such as introverts getting to write it down. For sure, the more you push an introvert, the more they're likely to shut down and then explode. And the more you try to stop an extrovert from talking, more likely they are to explode. My ex-husband was more introverted and had a lot of trouble with confrontation, yet he was not at all averse to telling others off. I'm the opposite. I want to sort out problems quickly. I don't care who's right or wrong. I just want a mutually beneficial solution. Being defensive or critical is number 5. Criticizing or becoming defensive in response to feedback can create a hostile and unproductive environment. It's hard to receive negative feedback or see the results of your miscommunication, but it's important to be humble about it and to own your mistakes. And even if you aren't guilty or don't agree, fighting over it is futile. Try to deal with facts and not feelings. Number 6, focus on the result. It does not help anything to argue over a mistake. Things can get really hot when emotions are high, and it's almost impossible to improve the situation or solve the problem. When you're wrong, admit it, and then focus on how to make it better and engage the other in helping to find the solution together. Sometimes students get emotional because learning is hard, and in my case, I know I must have done something that triggered it, or at least I misread the situation, or they were very good at hiding their feelings along the way. But the moment it becomes visible to me, I do everything I can to work through it. But I ask them rather than assume that they will work through things like I do. For example, one of my students is a perfectionist. She tries harder than anyone I know, but in the process can get really frustrated and angry at herself. This is a dicey moment because sometimes you shouldn't say anything, and other times you should. So I ask her, do you want to talk about this and try to work it through? Or would you rather let your emotions settle and work through it yourself? And I'm sorry if I caused this or if I pushed you too much. Sometimes I can have trouble talking when I get emotional. It's because I can't get the words out. So in that case, I need not to talk about it not because I don't want to, but I can't. When my emotions settle, then I can. And usually that's a matter of minutes, usually, and luckily. But I try not to dwell on things as that only affects me. Number 7, dishonesty and betrayal. Lying, deception, or betrayal of trust can inflict severe damage on a relationship, eroding trust and intimacy. And this is a hot topic for me as a result of my recent divorce. And for sure, I'm now much more wary. Normally, I'm a really trusting person, and thankfully that's rarely abused. But I'd rather be that way than suspicious and distant. In the next part, let's look at mistakes in the professional world, in your job or career.